All right, guys, thanks for coming back to the King Ugly Crew tonight. We are going to finish The Gambler Part 2.
Part 2?
Yeah, and we've got me, Griff, Case, and Baroni on. That'd be Baron.
Hello! And it's my birthday.
The important people.
And it is Baron's birthday. So, I think what we're just going to get into it, I think where we left off last time is, had we come back?
Mercedes had died.
It was broken? I didn't know if we'd come back yet.
Nope.
Okay, so if Mercedes had died and we hadn't come back yet, we had a big long run that me and Griff had to come back. It was probably good, 6-7 miles, Griff?
Yep.
And the problem was that we didn't know if they were on their way to us. So, I was
slow.
Yeah, we were going way slower than we were heading the other direction. So it took us a lot longer to get back. We get back. Well, we passed a couple guys, and one of them's like, "Oh yeah, they got a flat tire." And then we passed another guy, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you mean that Mercedes? It's got a flat tire or something, or broke." So we finally get back, and it's up on a jack, and we're like, "Okay, so it looks like it's a tire." And we get out, and they're like, "Tranny's fried." We're like,
"Yep,
fantastic."
Yeah. So while you guys took off, we went to leave because we thought everything was fine. Like when we stopped the car, everything was fine. It was running great. And Case went to throw it in gear, and it kind of moved, but I felt like the tranny was slipping.
Yeah, it moved, a couple of inches. So it still was going. But then, so we just thought the fluid was low, because that's usually what happens when a torque converter fluid is low, that it will move slightly, but it's very underpowered, obviously. And so we're like, okay, we just got to throw some tranny fluid in it, because we knew we had a transmission leak. And so when we parked it to fill it up or top it off and went to go again, and it did.
And top it off, it was already full. Like we couldn't add any more. Really, we added half a quart to it, and it was it was dead. Wouldn't move. Wouldn't do anything. So Mercedes was totally dead. We couldn't go anywhere. Like we ended up getting it pushed across the road to a more flat spot, and then we tried to jack it up.
Yeah, so the whole reason why everyone thought we had a flat tire is because we jacked it up to get it off the ground to see if we can get one of the tires to spin in gear. And so we got it jacked up off the ground, and it's an open diff on that car. So if you leave one side on the ground and one side off the ground, the tire that's free will spin. And so we put it in gear after we get jacked up, and it barely moves, like barely.
Well, and it doesn't matter what direction you put it into, it always spins forward. So we put it in reverse, it would still spin forward. You could rev it up, and it wouldn't go very fast. Like, it would just sit there and spin. Like,
yep.
Any of you that have messed with transmissions a bunch, when you put a car in neutral, they'll just sit there and kind of spin. That's what this would do. It would just sit there and kind of spin.
All right, so we pull up to him. I'm driving it this time. Me and Griff didn't think it was that big of a deal when we first pulled up, until obviously we heard what was going on. And so from that point, we decided, well, the only way out of here is to pull him out. So now the PT Cruiser has now become a tow truck. So it's not a tugboat, it's a tow truck.
Yep.
And so Case and I switched drivers at this point. And so I start to drive because I'm like, well, whatever. I haven't gotten to drive this whole time, so I'll drive.
And Griffith takes back over his PT Bruiser. And
we hook up with the longest strap we had, which
isn't very long.
About 15 feet tops.
It was so bad. Like, we had no length. It wasn't 15 feet. I couldn't see the strap in front of me. I was that close to Griff. Yeah, because it was on the passenger side, attached to the passenger side of Griff's car.
Right. Which is funny because before we went on this whole trip, my whole idea was, because I have one of those fancy Yankum ropes, the kinetic ones. I was like, yeah, we're totally bringing that. And I forgot it. And of course, the one time we absolutely need it, I don't have it.
I don't know how well a Yankum rope would have been for that, though, to be honest. I think that's too stretchy. I mean, it's great for pulling somebody out of something, but I don't know if it would be good for towing.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe you're right.
Well, I mean, even still, the fact that we forgot to grab a strap that we had to roll up when we unstrapped it off the trailer, it was just a total, just didn't even think about it. So we get on the road, and Griff starts towing us up these hills, and then we start getting to the downhill sections, and I'm just like sitting there having to ride my brakes. And so Griff actually has a really good idea. Just pulls off the road, and we decide to coast down the hills at this point. And at first, Griff's in front of me, and then I end up going around him to try and keep my momentum up to go down these hills. And I'm just trying to keep my momentum up to go down these hills. I'm not like, whatever, I'm just going to bomb this thing. So I am just giving it all she's got and going around corners. And like there's a couple times where I was still getting the back end to slide around, coming around the corners. And it was just a riot. At least it was for me. I'm sure everybody else was scared out of their mind.
It was very exciting, to say the least. It was scary. I mean, the fact that we had to keep our momentum going. I mean, we were probably going twice the speed that we probably normally would have gone down this hill if we had our own power. But not having our own power means that we have to keep going, and there's no slowing down. Like, you slow down at the absolute last second and let out the brakes as soon as you possibly can so you can just keep rolling. And yeah, seriously, Baron was drifting around corners. I mean, this was no power. I mean, we were literally just sliding around corners. And it was...
The way to the back end, just pulling it around.
It was it was a blast.
It's so much fun. So I mean, and like for me, I'm like, this is sweet. Like I don't have power, so I can go as fast as I want because we want to try and keep momentum up to go up the hills because there's just these little raises in altitude, and then it goes back to a downhill again. And so that's me trying to keep my momentum up to go up most of those. I mean, and for the most part, I feel we did pretty good. There was a couple of times where Griff had to get back in front of us to tow us, but.
Yeah. Like the one time that we realized that the wheel was loose.
On the PT?
Yeah. Just slightly loose. We drove only all the way from Cedar with it loose.
Yeah, because I was like, Griffith, that tire in the back, it's like wobbling. And he's like, yeah, it's probably fine. And then we got to the point where we start hearing this squeaking in the back. And I'm like, I look out the window and this tire's moving like literally probably 3/4 of an inch. And I'm like, there's definitely something wrong. Like, that's got to be a hub bad or something. Because, like, there's no way it's a hub. I don't know how it would be a hub in doing that. So we pull off the tire, and that adapter that we had on there.
The only reason the lug nuts hadn't fallen off is because the wheel was holding them in place. But besides that, they were completely backed out.
Yeah, like you couldn't go anymore, so it was still holding on, but it was a little sketchy.
Barely.
But where we were at and where we found it was on an uphill. But so we fixed the one, and we're like, we'll check the other ones later.
Well, no, it's even better than that.
Sit on a hill or not
on an uphill around a corner. Yeah, like worst spot ever.
Yeah, so that was a bit sketchy. What was there any other points at which, I mean, like, so the three kids the Hyundai and the Subaru, we told them, just go, guys. You have the waypoints. Just head out. And they're like, hopefully we see you later. And we're like, you'll see us later. We'll figure this out. By the time we finally got through this whole thing, well, I guess we finally get to where a T in the road.
Well. Yeah, we get to a T in the road, but before the T in the road, this was like the most epic downhill section of this whole thing.
Oh, that was awesome.
It's straight, kind of, like it's kind of weavy, but so I am just giving it all she's got, like for
which is nothing because it didn't have anything
for nothing. But me just coasting, like Case says we caught air a couple of times. You guys say we caught air a couple of times. I still don't know about that.
I swear the back end, at least the back end got air. At least.
The back end was really jumpy. I'll give you that. But this thing, I mean, it was the most fun part of the whole trip for me, was really just coasting down the hill. Because, like Case, when he was driving it, I felt bad because he was just driving it like an old man. It was, well, not like an old man, but he certainly didn't drive it as hard as I did the couple days before when they say I broke it, which I agree.
Broke it.
I broke it. But I had the downhill section was just as much fun for me as it was going out there. I should have had Case drive because then at least he could have had some fun. But I don't think he would have pushed it as hard as I did.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, but it was just as a big assignment in all the seats, Baron. Yeah, you drove, but it was like on a roller coaster where you just have fun because you don't know what's going to happen. So having someone else in control was actually okay with me on that point.
Yeah, I don't feel I was going so fast that I was ever actually out of control.
No.
It was a lot of fun.
It was just a blast. So, but we get to the T that Lonnon was talking about, and all of a sudden we see the Subaru and the Hyundai pulled over. We're trying to figure out what's going on with them. Apparently the Subaru was overheating. Was that correct?
Again, that happened multiple times from them.
Oh, all right. Okay.
But pretty much every time they stopped, you guys weren't there yet. So I think that's what it was, right, Griff?
If I remember right.
So, yeah, but they finally, I mean, they were overheated at the top of the hill. That's what it was, huh? They were overheated at the top of the hill. And then they kind of kicked on, and I don't think we saw them again the rest of the time.
I remember.
I don't remember seeing them.
which was a little sad.
Yeah, I would like to. It would have been nice to show up again, but man, it was. But let's continue on. So we get down the hill, and this is a good hour of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a good hour of towing up, bombing down, just trying to get out of this place to try to find asphalt or to a decent road.
At least an hour. It might have been an hour and a half.
But
it felt longer than that. Like it was a long time.
Because we had to jump out and push it to just try to get over the crest of the hill and then start coasting again at some points. And then then Griffey we're like, you know what? There's no point in pulling around, hooking up the strap when we have to go 50 feet up the road. So Griffey just started bumping us from behind with his PT Cruiser.
Okay.
And just
now on that. Oh, this isn't on the. This is still on the. This is
on the
pavement,
dirt roads.
right?
Dirt roads.
Okay. Gotcha.
Dirt roads.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just enough to get us going because there's no point. It really wasn't a point to try and hook up.
It was just a rub. I mean, we were racing.
Right.
We were just rubbing.
Rubbing racing. That's what happens. It was a bump draft. Bump draft, right?
Yeah, bump draft.
It was freaking brilliant. It made it so much faster.
It was more or less. Well, the problem was like there was no place to pull over. That I was like,
True.
Okay, we have time to
Griffith, your signal is dying.
Yeah, are you pressing your button or not, Fluffy?
do this, or I can just tow them.
Griffey, your signal is terrible.
But yeah, there was no place for him to pull over. Like he didn't have a way to do anything, and so that was his only choice, which in the end was a fine choice.
It was quite wonderful. All right, so we hit the main T to the main access for this campground area kind of thing. I don't know what that main road was for. It was still dirt. Do you remember, Lonnon?
Oh, to the right and the left?
Yeah.
So the right was our actual path we were supposed to take.
Yes.
To the left was a second path. There was a secondary path they could have gone, and so we started up that right side. That was a different way out, but on dirt almost all the way.
Yeah.
And so we start heading up there, and at this point we're towing the Mercedes with the PT, and we get up maybe halfway, and it's overheating, overheated. And so we pull over, and then we're like, dude, this. So we put some water in it, and we let it sit for a little bit. And then there's this guy coming the other direction. I'm like, okay, how far is it to the closest paved road? And he's like, well, he's like, if you turn around, it's faster to go the other direction. We're like, okay. And then, if you're following that, like, how many big hills are there? And he's like, about 2 or 3. I think there was really only one good hill.
Yeah, getting towed up, the second one was kind of useless. We could have done that.
Yeah. Well, the first part of it was actually nice to have those one guys tow you.
Yes.
I don't know why they let you go in the first place. They should have just towed you the rest of the way. But whatever. But yeah, the second one wasn't that big of a deal. But I made the kids get out and walk so it didn't overheat the car. So we walked to the top of the hill. And then, of course, right as we get to the top of the hill, it starts pouring.
Oh, yeah. So it starts coming down on top of all of us while we're trying to hook the Mercedes back up because we're at the top of the hill, but we know there's another hill coming up from what everyone's saying. There's 2 truck and trailer combinations headed out the same way. And they're like, yeah, you're definitely going to need to get towed. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is turning into a nightmare. At least it doesn't rain. And then that's all someone had to say. And then it would start raining. And, so we finally get hooked up with, I think, one of the Jeep again, right? No. It was the Mustang.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah, the Mustang. This Mustang, if you go back to our first episode, this thing was on 35s on a S10 chassis, we believe.
S10 chassis, yep.
So
Baron talked out and got all the specifics from the guy, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It had an S10 chassis with a small block Chevy in it and a turbo 350. So it was pretty cool. That had been solid axle swap? No, it was already a solid. It was an early S10.
But nevertheless, this thing
had Toyota axles on it.
Yeah, but it had no issue pulling us out. So we just hooked onto that. And then for some dumb reason, I decided not to jump on one of the cars. And everyone just started driving past me. So I ended up having to walk about a quarter mile down the road until the Jeep that originally told us, put his reverse lights on and came back. He's like, do you want to ride? I'm like, I would love one.
That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't have seats because we have the back seats down for the dogs and everything. I'm like, all right, cool. I can hang out with the Chihuahua for the next however long.
It was only like 3 minutes.
I know, but I didn't know that at the time, but it was just funny. But we get to where they finally say, okay, this is the final, we're at the top, and this is the final downhill. And this will take you right to pavement. And so we had the game plan. I remember, if I remember correctly, that we would get to the pavement and pull over, and then we could get towed again. Was that the plan?
That was the plan. Too bad it didn't work out because there was no place to pull over.
No.
And so,
I mean, there was a place to pull over at the very top. There was. But Baron and I decided, we're already going.
Let's
pretty
coast
good,
as long
actually.
as we can. Yeah, we were doing pretty decent. It's just that the downhill became a very gradual downhill. And so 30 or 40 miles an hour,
Yeah, the
however fast we were
tires were
going.
bad.
And the alignment was way out. So I was scrubbing the tires really horribly. And it would just
Well, it
go
wasn't
slower
scrub,
and
it was-
slower and slower.
On the dirt, it didn't matter if the tires were way out of alignment. On the street, your tires were so bad that it was making it slow.
It was pretty bad. So eventually we got to the only wide-ish spot in the road. And so we're still halfway on the road.
Not a great spot by any means to stop. I mean, it was right around a corner, but we had no other choice at that point.
Well, and it wasn't a blind corner, thankfully, but it was still not a good spot.
So so Griff gets in front of. So that entire time we're coasting in quotation down the hill. Griff's actually bump drafting us all the way down this hill. It was on our Instagram feed. And I think Lonnon actually made it a video, so it's still on our Instagram if you want to check that out. Where the PT Cruiser is pushing the Mercedes down the hill on pavement. It's got to be one of the funniest things, like all the people passing us when it was happening. I could only imagine their thoughts. Like, what is going on right now? But yeah, so we're off the side of the road and having these cars pass us, and we're getting hooked up. And then on the way up, there's some gamblers headed up, and we still have this. Sorry, we've broken the strap 4 times at that point, just getting towed and not.
Yeah, so our 5-foot strap or 10-foot strap has now become 7 or 5 feet long, and is really scary.
It's tiny, and when you're getting towed on road, you want as much room as you can. Well, to a point, about 30 feet's about right.
20 feet, 20. General strap's 20 feet long, so.
Oh yeah. So nevertheless, these gamblers pull over and say, "Hey, do you guys want help with anything?" And either Baron or Lonnon asks, "Do any of you guys have a strap? We just got to get down the hill, and this thing we're not going to be able to do it with this tiny strap. It's too dangerous." He's like, "Yeah, here it is. And I have 3 of them. Here, just take it." And us being
So I have a $20 bill in my wallet, and I'm like, well, this strap costs $20, so whatever. This is definitely a fair trade. So I go to give it to him. He's like, I'm not going to take it. So I throw it in his back seat and say, I don't care. You're taking it anyway.
And walk away. Doesn't even give him a chance to come back.
And the guy's all like, oh, come on, dude, don't do that. And I'm all like, whatever, it's yours now.
But that's what's so cool about all the gambler people. They are just some of the greatest people you meet. They're super willing to help out in any way they can.
Which is what makes the event pretty fun, too. I mean, that's what makes it really fun.
Well, the greatest part for me is the fact that it's not a race. It's just, let's go out there and have fun. And that's the mindset that everybody has. Let's go out there and have some fun. It doesn't matter how fast you get to the end.
I liked the fact that we were actually helping the BLM out this time.
Oh, I 100%. The fact that we had a purpose of being out there made it so much more worth it. And the guy that put it on, I don't remember his name. Lonnon, do you?
No, which we probably need to get in touch with him anyway.
Yeah, but the guy that put it on, he's the one that reached out to BLM and to make something happen, because he's like, hey, we're going out there anyways. Want to make something positive out of it, or even more positive. And man, we helped him out, and it was a lot of fun doing that. So,
Agreed.
So we get this tow strap, get hooked up, and we just start cruising down the hill. And it's a pretty windy hill the rest of the way down.
Yeah,
understatement.
Fortunately, it wasn't enough of a grade to where it was pretty easy. But at this point,
funny is that it was as much as some of the grades on the dirt where you were booking, and yet on the road, because the tires were scrubbing and the alignment was so bad, you were just slowing down to nothing. It was just stopping you.
Well, it was so bad that I ended up switching with Case. As soon as we couldn't coast on our own anymore, when we finally hooked up the strap, I had Case drive because my arm was so tired from trying to hold the steering wheel straight.
Yeah,
it was
just
wanting
going
to pull you right, Case? Yeah, I was wanting to pull you the right side.
Yeah, it was to the right, at least, if something ever happened. But still, nevertheless, it was a workout just holding that thing in place because it literally just wanted to pull you off the road. Like you could let go around a pretty good bend and it would take you around the bend without holding the steering wheel. It was pretty nuts. So yeah, I don't blame. I jumped in it. I'm like, Baron, I understand why you wanted to switch now. You get biceps getting sore, and he's like, yeah.
Well, it's because I didn't tell him that my arms were sore, but he hops in. He's like, oh, now I understand why you want to switch.
Oh, it totally makes sense, but because on dirt, like they've been saying, it don't really matter because the car is going to push through the dirt, or asphalt, it's literally grabbing as you're going down the hill, and it wasn't fun. So we finally get down the hill. And
yeah, we finally get down the hill, and we get to this, what do we go park across to Mickey D's?
Yeah.
So we're in Logan. We're next to Logan.
We're right next to it.
We weren't. Yeah, we're right next to Logan. It's a suburb of Logan.
It is
Logan,
a suburb of Logan, yeah.
Major.
Which is convenient because that was where I was looking for a car.
Hey. So
segue.
Foreshadowing, Griffey. I like it. So at this point, we know we gotta go get the truck and trailer. There's no way we're making it back to Ogden, which is an hour and a half away. There's no way we're driving the Mercedes back or towing it back.
Oh.
And and Lonnon and Griff want to go check out this car. And I'm like, well, shoot, I have family-in-laws that live up here. My wife's whole family is from Logan. And so I ended up calling my wife and asking her grandparents. Long story short, I'm calling my father-in-law. And he ends up calling his brother. And his brother, and this is all going on while we're getting some food at Mickey D's. And Lonnon and Griff are figuring out how to look at this other guy. I'm able to get my father-in-law's brother to loan me a car to drive to Ogden and back.
Which was just like, of all places we could have ended up, it was phenomenal that we ended up on a place that we could actually have access to another vehicle. So we didn't leave everyone stranded while we took the PT Cruiser back and left them at a Mickey D's it would have been a 3-hour turnaround. So we were able to take another car while they were able to go out and do whatever they needed to get done.
Which didn't happen anyway because the guy didn't text us back.
Exactly. So this is where the stories kind of diverge because Griff and Lonnon and their kids stay with them. And then me, Baron, Tesla, and Kaylani, right?
Was it just? I thought it was the three. No, it was three.
It was Tesla and
Aurora. Yeah, it was the three girls. No, it was the three girls.
No, because we had one of the girls when we went to dinner. It was I had Isaacs and Tesla.
Okay.
It's Isaacs and Kaylani.
Was it Kaylani? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because we had another dance party on the way back because Aurora was in the car.
Yep, it was quite fun.
The life of the party was there.
So what did you guys end up doing for those hours then? Because we didn't talk about it. I know you went and got pupusas, and it was delicious.
So we started trying to find out what the guy was going to do. Right, Griff?
Yes, we were fighting with that. I went and bought a motor mount because I put a motor mount on the PT and put a motor mount in. What else did we do? I don't remember. I think it was really that and then pupusas. Like we went and ate right after that.
Yeah, we did. Which took a long time. Like we were there a long time, but we didn't care. We knew we were just waiting on you guys to get back. So, and it was like whatever. And so so we went to this. I saw this restaurant on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And I was like, I had a pupusa before because I had not Ecuadorian, El Salvadorian. That was on a mission in the Pahrump area when I was there, and so he was. So he told like one day, I always ask the missionaries. I was like, "What's your favorite food?" And he's like, "Pupusas." And I was like, "Well, what the heck is that?" He's like, "Next time I go to Vegas, I'll get you one." I was like, "All right." So he gets me a pupusa, and I was like, "Dude, these things are fantastic." And I was like, "Well," so I watched this thing, and I was like, "I gotta go try this place because we're here, and I don't have anything else to do, and we're all hungry." So that's what we decided to go do. Griff had never had any before. And they were only, $2 a piece or $3 a piece, something like that?
Significantly cheaper than you'd think they would be.
And filling.
Wow, good.
Oh, they're phenomenal. Like that slaw they had on there was life-changing.
Oh, it just made it. Oh, it was so good. And we had them way after the fact. An hour?
No.
Like yours were pretty fresh. Because, like, we had them make them, and as soon as they were done, we left and came straight to you guys. And you guys already had the car loaded up.
Yeah, okay, so that's kind of a funny story. So you guys were doing that. Case and I get back. We actually drive that Subaru all the way to Ogden. Then we load the Subaru up on the trailer because we're like, whatever, it's going to take us like 3 minutes anyway. So we load the Subaru up on the trailer.
Hold on.
And we
You're
come
missing
back.
a very crucial point here, Brownie.
Okay.
So remember where we parked
Oh,
the trailer?
yes.
Okay, so in the first episode, we talked about how he was behind some gates. Behind some gates and in some kind of a like a shop area where there's just storage areas were for cars and for things we worked on. And so we thought, well, it's really going to stink if this place is locked up when we get back. Well, it was. And
yeah,
I was
the
like,
gate was really locked. And it was one of those sliding gates that just slides along the other fence line. And I was like, goodness gracious, we're never getting in. We're going to go buy bolt cutters, cut this lock off so we can go get to this trailer. This is going to be another hour situation. And then Barron's like, whereas
no.
I just walk out, like, not even like think about it. I see the lock. I'm like, oh, okay. I walk to the edge of the gate. I pop the edge of the gate off of the rail and we just swing the gate over. And Case is like, wow, look like a professional thief right now.
Yeah, like we were in and out, like grabbing our trailer, loading up the Subaru, and back in and out less than 5 minutes. Easy 5 minutes. So I'm like, man, if we were not good-hearted people, we could do some really terrible things right now.
And then we just pop the gate back on the fence and done. And I'm like, but for me, it was just, oh, okay, it's locked. We'll just pop it off over here. Didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, you were like, all right, I'm a common thief. I can make this work. So I'm glad Barron had that knowledge because it saved us a bunch of time and a potential felony. So, well.
A potential. So yeah, we drive all the way back. We drop off the Subaru to my father-in-law's brother, and we get over there and we get the Mercedes all lined up and positioned. And I'm like, okay, well, we got to find somebody to tow us on because I don't have a clue where Lonnon and Griffith are at. They're off getting food, and I'm like a little irritated because they're like getting food, and I'm ready to go, and which doesn't matter anyway. As that story continues, but I just go over and I go randomly talk to a guy. But I go over and talk to a guy that's washing his truck, and I'm like, "Hey, can you tow my car up on the trailer?" He's like, "Yeah, just give me a couple of minutes."
Like, it just, Barron's got the personality just to do that. Like, hey, sir, do you want to use your truck? And he's like, Barron's like, he told me this the next day, and he's like, any guy that has the opportunity to use his truck, he's gonna say yes, because that's the whole reason you have a truck is to use it.
You got to show it off, right?
You got to use it at some point.
Everybody wants to be like, oh, this is why I have a truck. That I'm just, why have a truck otherwise? So yeah, that was an easy thing. He just came over. I had the strap all hooked up, ready to go. We had it lined up. I literally hooked it up to the back of the truck, had him pull us forward onto the trailer, had him back up a little bit, and said, "Hey, thank you." He went on his way.
Well, I mean, it took a little longer than that because I was an idiot and forgot the parking brake was on. But hey, besides that,
the guy had it in four-wheel low, and the tires are skidding because I'm like, "What are you doing, Case?" But
yeah, I
after that
farted.
brief little moment,
it was easy peasy. So Lonnon and Griff get back with their food. We're sitting there around talking about the car that Griff wants to look at. All right, Griffy, fill us in. What's the car?
It's a 62 Studebaker Lark.
Hold on. Actually, we're sitting around eating, ready to leave. We're like ready to go. And then the guy finally texts back, like right as we're about ready to go. Because Griff's like, if we're gone before this guy texts back, I'm not looking at this car. I'm like, all right. So this guy like texts back as we're all getting ready to load up. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do now, Griff?
And that's when we decided to go. We ended up doing then. Is that the guy texts me back and he's like, "I'll be home in 10 minutes." And this is 9 o'clock at night at this point in time. And so we start heading that. So we're like, okay, well, let's go get it. Because at the end of the day, if it's terrible looking, then we're not going to get it. So what's the difference? And so we head that direction and get there. And
it's in way better shape than we thought.
Because the problem is the picture of the car was one. It was one picture and that was it. And so we get there and I'm like looking at this car going, I mean,
dang.
Yeah.
I'd be
retarded not to buy this.
It is amazing. Like, it is an amazing shape. Very surprising how good a shape it's in.
Right. And so, like, we're trying to figure out how we're going to tow back 2 cars because it has no brakes. The guy told me into the head time that it had no brakes. And so we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so I'm like, I told
Well,
the
and
guy.
he told us it has no brakes. It's a master cylinder it needs, and I'm like, bull crap. Those old master cylinders, they very rarely ever go bad. I'll bet you I can get the brakes going fine. Well, foreshadowing, we find out the master cylinders all need to be rebuilt, or not masters, all the slaves.
Slave cylinders, yep.
Yeah, all of them need to be rebuilt. Anyway, okay, so finish. Sorry.
And so I walk away from the guy because I'm like, well, let me think about it because I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to make this happen, like try to get these 2 cars moved and everything like that. And so I walk away and I'm just like, well, what can we do? And Case is like, well, I got a buddy who lives here, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll make this work, and we'll figure out something. We'll get it so it can happen. And so I text the guy again, and this is like 9:45 at night. And I'm like, okay, can we talk? And the guy was asking $800 for it. I was just like, I'm gonna shoot in the dark, see what I get out of it. I'm like, well, would you take 600? And he goes, yeah.
No. I thought you said what's the lowest you'd take, and he's like,
yeah.
just shoot me an offer. And you're like 600, and he's like, deal.
Right, and so we set up so we can get figured out and get it done. Pull the Mercedes back off the trailer. Put the Studebaker back on the trailer. Like we have the PT this time, so we were able to just drag the Studebaker up, and we flat tow the Mercedes over to the Maverick parking lot to try to figure out how to do like a car dolly
situation.
Wow.
Which I have pictures. The pictures are on our Instagram. You will see them by the time you guys hear this. It is quite a sight to see. It didn't work.
No.
Either time we tried.
It was a very not. Now thinking about it, you can see that we were all kind of sleep deprived.
Very.
It obviously makes sense that would never work. But I broke 4 straps to figure that out.
2. We only broke 2.
2.
Yeah, it was.
Are you sure?
1 each time.
Only 2?
It was 1 each time. So
okay.
So we got it on there. The pictures we have is in the Maverick. We pull out onto the main highway, which is Main Street in Logan, and
it falls off. One tire falls off.
Yeah, it falls
and
off.
Baron drags it sideways down the main road for 300 feet, basically, trying to get off the center of the road. And
but I'm still sitting on the side of the road. Like we're sitting in a turn lane.
This is, by the time we get this all done, this is, what, 10:50, 11 o'clock at night?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, Logan, go to sleep. I mean, geez Louise.
Yeah, seriously, man. There were so many cars.
It was like seriously like 6 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was ridiculous.
Car after car after car, and
nobody would move over.
Not a single person. So, guys, if you're listening and there's a down vehicle or someone with their flashers on, please move over or slow down. There's so many tow truck drivers and emergency response people that get injured every year because of ignorance.
Dummies.
So please, if you're listening to this, move over. So we decided to get the Mercedes off the trailer completely and just flat tow it to the nearest Walmart, just so we can try it again. Because in our brains, we're like, oh, we'll try it one more time and see if it works.
We're just like, this has got to work. There's no way it's not going to work.
Yeah, we're just like, we're so brain dead at this point. So we tried again in the Walmart parking lot. Lo and behold, doesn't work again, of course. And we just said, F it. We're leaving the Mercedes here in the parking lot. We'll come back tomorrow morning and get it. Because at this point, it's already midnight.
And so our plan is, you know what? We'll send Baron and Case back up to pick up the Mercedes, and me and Griff will fix the brakes and everything in it on the car, and we'll roadkill it back home.
Yep. If you don't know roadkill is it would have been awesome. Roadkill is when you take a car like that, where they say it's going to take work to get it running and driving it, and you're going to try to drive it to your house over a certain distance, like a far distance, not like 20 minutes away. No, like hours, even days.
Which I was all for that idea. I think that would have been so cool if you got, and if it would have been possible, if we could have made everything come together. But so yeah, we ended up deciding that we're done. We just dropped the car, we put it in a parking spot, and we start to go home. And I'm like, Case, I need you to put on some happy music and like stuff I can sing along to.
So we're listening to Black Eyed Peas, Avril Lavigne, goodness gracious, just any pop song that we could sing along to.
The music of like our teenage years. So
yes, it was so
it
good.
was just all of it.
We didn't do that. We didn't have that problem. I wasn't that tired. Like, I was
I wasn't
tired,
tired of her.
but
Nah.
I wasn't, I mean, not enough that I couldn't drive. Like, at that point in time, I was still easily awake. I was surprised that you were talking about how tired you were, and I was like, really? It wasn't that rough. But we also had powered steering the whole time, and we didn't have to go down bumps and do all of that stuff. Me and Lonnon picked the better vehicle, so.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. All right. All right. So we
So-
get back to Aunt Becky's house because she said we could stay there again that night. And so we all literally walked through the door. And all right, Lonnon, as we're walking through the door, Lonnon says, "Everyone sleeps in the same spot. Good night." And that was the last thing said. Everyone goes to sleep. So we get up around.
Oh, yeah, they're right. Because Uncle Chris wasn't up still, was he?
No, everyone was asleep.
Right. Okay. My bad. Keep going.
Yeah, you're good. So we all go and crash. We get up about 8, 9 o'clock the next morning. And so once again, Griffin, Lonnon's idea is to get the Studebaker up and going, and me and Baron to go rescue the Mercedes. And so me and Baron drop off the Studebaker in Uncle Chris's backyard, and we were... Sorry, cut out there for a second. We drop it off in the backyard, so just in case we do have to leave it, it's not in their driveway. And so Griffin Lonnon ran to the store to grab some parts to see if it was going to work. Brought it back, and we got it running, guys. We got that thing running, which was awesome.
Yeah, we figured it out. Nobody had anything to do with brakes. No slave cylinders, no nothing. And I was like, well, we could do a rebuild kit, but that's all the way in Salt Lake, which is another hour away. So me and Griff, we pull off the front right one, and I start playing with it. We decided to pull the slave off, and we started just rebuilding them, right there at Uncle Chris's house. Funny enough, he had a brake hone.
Weren't that bad.
No, they weren't. They just were stuck, and they just needed to be resealed. So the brake hone, he had a couple other things there that we needed. And so, we rebuilt the front left, and front right. And we're like, yeah, sweet. And then we go to the back.
And then it was a slide hammer besides that we needed to be able to do it.
To do the back?
Right.
Yeah, or they call it a brake hub remover. Did you already do those, Griff? All right. So we at that point we're like, okay, engine's running, it cools itself. We fixed some of the leaks it had. Let's go take it for a drive. So we take it for a drive, and we're like, dude, this isn't that bad. Let's see if we can get the brakes, the back ones done. And we find that that's not possible. And so at that point, it's like, well, Griff's like, I can come up here next weekend and I can just pick it up. It's no big deal. So that's what we planned, because at this point, there's no way for us to do it any other way.
Yeah.
And
me and Baron
while they're doing this,
adventure.
Yes. While they're doing this, having fun working on an old 63 Studebaker, 62 Studebaker, we get the Mercedes all lit up, no problems. We start climbing the mountain coming out of Logan, and I look down.
Real quick. Me and Baron have a mutual hate of Logan.
I hate that city. I hate that city. Hate it. There's no fast way in or out of it. There's no freeway in the stupid town. There's just this. I hate that town.
So Baron, how do you feel?
I hate that town.
Oh, okay.
So,
I just wasn't sure if that made it clear to everybody. So
we're climbing out of the stupid the town, and I'm like, wait a second, because my clutch fan on my truck runs all the time. You'd swear that this thing is just broken, locked on. Thing sounds like it's a dang jet engine just taking off. It's like a freaking helicopter.
When he's literally like, he turns down off of Mid Valley coming to my house, it's probably a quarter of a mile.
Yeah,
and I can hear him when he turns onto Enoch Road. Just from that.
The thing's just stupid loud, and it always runs. Well, I noticed that it shut off right before I started climbing the hill.
We didn't notice it, Baron.
Yeah, it raged. It cuts out occasionally. Like, it just does it randomly. It'll just cut out on its own. Hallelujah. It makes it so I get better fuel economy. But it just cut out, so I didn't think anything twice. And we start climbing the hill, and then I look at my temperature gauge, and I'm at 230 degrees. Boiling over on that is 242. So I'm like, holy crap, my truck's overheating. My clutch fan's not running. So I pull over, and so I haven't overheated yet, but I'm pulling over, and I'm sitting there, and I'm revving it up, and I'm like, I can't hear my clutch fan. There's something wrong here. I hop out, I shut it off.
Even, hold on, before you even get out, you're like, you know exactly what was wrong. Because he's like, it's my wires. I know that my plug got caught in my fan, and before you even got out of the truck, you already knew what the problem was. It was funny. So
Well, and it wasn't like I was expecting that problem. It's just
Oh, wait,
so
was it the wires?
common on. Yes,
Yes.
it did the exact same
Oh, I
thing
didn't
yours
even
did.
know that part.
Yes, it caught this stupid plastic thing that runs down in front of the fan. Sometimes will break off and it'll allow the wiring harness to get caught by the fan, or it rips the plug, the wires out of the plug. And that's exactly what happened. And I was like, are you freaking kidding? I have never had an issue with this truck. I've never had an issue with this. But as soon as I knew that that's what it was. And so we ended up getting turned around and coasting back into Logan. Well, not coasting, but driving into Logan, because it
Driving
still
into
drives
Logan.
fine.
Yeah, it drove fine. It was just when we were towing, obviously it's a lot more weight, and going uphill is a struggle for a vehicle. So we get back into Logan, and I was like, sweet, I found a clutch fan for $60 at O'Reilly's. Get there, find out that I had the wrong one punched in online.
No. It was nothing to do with you. It was they had the wrong part number crossed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get in there, and Baron's like, yeah, that's not the right one. And so Baron looks it up, and they end up finding the right one. $280?
$264.
Plus a core? No
core. But $264, and I'm like, okay, let me call around. We have accounts with Napas and Carts and stuff. I call up CarQuest up there, and I am no joke. Case went on the phone for like 10 minutes with this moron that doesn't know what a clutch fan is, has no idea. He was looking up clutches. He was looking up fans. He could not put the two together. It got to the point where I started trying to give him part numbers. I was looking it up on the website for him, and I about said, I didn't say this to him, but I said this to the guy auto parts store, the O'Reilly guys. I was like, if you don't know what a freaking clutch fan is, you shouldn't work at an auto parts store, bar none. If you are that dumb, like you don't have basic car knowledge.
Well,
I would agree, but at this point, when people don't want to work, it's kind of hard to find help, let alone good help.
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
I agree. It was rough. So I eventually just buy the $263 one.
Yeah, so Baron was already hot because of the whole, he had to spend an extra $200 on this, which I can't blame him. No one really wants to fork out $300 on a part you weren't expecting.
Well, I spent more money on fuel and that clutch fan than I did on every part for that stupid Mercedes.
Yeah.
Could have.
So, but luckily, so we get the plan. Ditto. The awesome thing about
By accident.
by accident, Puffy?
No, he says he could have butt connected it.
Oh,
It ripped the wires out of the plug.
out of the plug, yeah. But so get back to Griffey's like, oh, Casey's got a friend here. Luckily, one of my best friends from when I was working in Discount Tire back in 2011, 2012 era, lived in Ogden, 3 minutes away from that O'Reilly's.
Lived in Logan. Yeah, he
Was
lived
in
really close.
And so he
No.
is
A story gets better. Case ends up talking to the guy while I'm on the phone with one of the O'Reilly guys, and he's like, "Oh, I know your buddy." So that was a really funny story.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I used to date his now wife. I was like, well, that's awkward.
Funny.
So we head over to Jared's house.
world.
Thank you again, Jared, for the help. Get over to Jared. Jared is a mechanic, and so he has a plethora of tools to choose from. And
Except for his
so
air hammer.
besides a compressor.
Let foreshadow. He has every tool I need. He has the air hammer fan remover tool, which is, if you guys don't know what it is, go buy one. It's the most amazing tool ever to remove a fan clutch, unless it's Lonnon's dually and then it doesn't work out so well. But yes, so he has everything but an air compressor.
And Baron's like, really?
What?
It's so funny. He has because he works at where is it, Baron? Les Schwab.
Yeah, he works at Les Schwab.
Yeah, so why does he need a compressor at home when he literally has most of his tools at work? And a compressor.
But so he had
obviously.
that tool at home, and I'm like, so he shows it to me and brings it out, and he's all like, okay, here's a tool. I'm like, I gave him a big old hug, and I'm like, I love you. You're my best friend right now. And I was like, you better have an air hammer. He's like, yeah, I have an air hammer. I don't have an air compressor. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And he's like, no, I'm not kidding you. I'm like, you are kidding me. There is no way. I was like, you became my best friend and my worst enemy right now. So.
What was that, Griff?
Time for Bear to have some onboard air put on his truck.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. That certainly
That'd
made
be
me think
awesome.
about it. But
Baron's a genius and made it work anyways with the tools he had. I mean, he had it done in 20 minutes, I think. And But I got that chance to hang out and talk to Jared for a while, and I haven't seen him since 2016. Is when he moved, I think. So it was nice to hang out with some good friends and be able to get the truck fixed. And it's weird how we are put in the situations we are around people we are, like the fact that we were able to borrow a car from someone in Logan and be able to get a truck fixed from someone in Logan. And yes, we may hate the town, but at least there's good people there to help us out. So we hit the road.
Yeah, the town
right,
still
Barry?
sucks.
So
yeah,
nice.
so we ended up hitting the road, and basically for us, the story was kind of uneventful. We went back to find out what Griffith and Lonnon had done, and I got to drive the car. That was a whole bunch of fun. Drive the Studebaker around the block, and it was a peppy. It's a fun little car.
It is. Baron was driving around, and then the trunk opened because there's no latch. So Baron got out to go shut the trunk, and I slide over into the driver's seat and make him get it on the passenger seat so I could drive it. It was a blast, man. That little car is a lot of fun. Griff, you got it running now, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I ran it at the first fortunate, and I haven't put gas in it since.
Oh, well, he had it running, folks. He had it running.
It's still a really cool car.
It is awesome looking. I put up pictures on our Instagram of it as well. Lo and behold, guys, this gambler trip was not what we planned for by any means.
Never is.
But my gosh, it was a weekend to remember, man. It was so much fun.
Well, my wife asked me, she's like, you had a good time? I mean, the car broke the first day, and I'm like, I had a great time. I mean, we picked up a Studebaker. We did some really stupid stuff trying to strap a Mercedes to a back of a trailer. I had a great time. I thought it was a lot of fun being able to spend some time with Uncle Chris and Aunt Becky. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a very good weekend.
Well,
And
okay,
that's how-
but what you guys don't remember, I mean, like, so on the way back, we're cruising back, and all of a sudden we're about, 15 miles out of Fillmore, Griff, and the PT Cruiser starts overheating again.
Oh, that's right.
And we're like, what in the crap is going on with this freaking car? Well, come to find out that the radio cap was bad. We forgot to say that. The radio cap was bad. So we swapped it out with the Mercedes ones. We were trying to climb up one of the hills because we realized how bad it was. And the Mercedes it wasn't going to overheat, just idling. And so we switched it out. Well, it wasn't great either. Better than the one that was on it, but still not good. And so we'd lost coolant.
Plus, we
all
had
the way.
air in the system too.
Yeah, it needed to be burped. So we take it over to a car wash, and Griffey's like trying to cool it down with the with the sprayer and everything, and get everything cold.
Yeah, this
so
is
we can add more water
again.
And then I think we added water using the
Spot clean.
spot free.
Yep.
So
Literally just stuck the hose in the radiator and just filled it up. It was awesome.
Well, the spot should be clean, pure water.
Yep, I can believe it. But man, it was. So we got home. I mean, after that PT Cruiser, I drove around for 2 or 3 days, and that thing's a blast, Griffey. That was a really good purchase. I feel like
Yeah, it's fun.
for a fun beat 'em up vehicle.
Yep.
The Mercedes has just sat in my yard since I got here.
Yeah, and it probably will sit there forever, or until we find something else to do with it.
Time for a transmission fix.
Yeah, but I kind of want to do something else for the next Gambler, to be honest.
Why? There's
Dude,
so many
people
people thought
loved
it
it.
was so cool. You got more attention than my PT did by far. Like, honestly, it just needs a transmission fix, some actual fuel turned up to it, and a turbo sitting out the hood, and that thing will be.
Heck yeah, turbo sitting out the hood. I'm all for it.
Yep,
You got
that'd
a
be
whole
way fun.
year-ish.
No,
Actually, I mean,
we
you have
have-
less whenever Sinners and Saints.
there's-
May.
yeah, well, yeah, actually usually in March, April.
Oh, really? That early? Cool.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we got things to do, but guys, the Gambler 500 is an absolute riot, and when you have siblings or friends to go with, it just makes it more fun because you just have an experience. It's an adventure.
Well, and we also met that other the guy and the lady. I can't think of their name. I don't know why, but that joined us, and then they had to leave at the Acura, and they're like, "Dude, if you guys come up to the next one, we'll totally be on your team." It's like, they were cool people. And
They
so
were
it was-
awesome.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, it would be fun to hook up with them again, but it would be really fun to get a big King Ugly group out there and make a real good showing. So if any of you are listening and you want to do this, we'll find out when the next one is, and we'll announce it way ahead of time so that you can get something ready. And again, just remember, all you got to do is just try and find a crappy car that somebody's selling for nothing.
Dude,
That's
there's
what it comes down to.
Yeah,
There's
so
people
many
that'll give 'em
deals.
away.
Yeah, like here, take this car off my hands. I'm sick of seeing it in my yard. It probably needs spark plugs and something else. Guys, That's cheap. You're just trying to do it as cheap as possible. I mean, the 500 is not a rule. It's a guideline.
Yeah,
that was definitely more than 500.
But the whole fact
well,
of
but
it
see,
is to
we
gamble.
could have done it for less than that, Griff. But we wanted creature comforts, and there was things that
Yes.
So there's things that made it so that we decided to spend more. But it's like that other guy with the HHR. We know he's got way more into it than $500. But he's like, yeah, I just feel like it's $500 every time I go.
That's kind of how I look at it too. Like, hey, it's $500 every time we go. So, guys, it's
still
not an
cheaper
expensive
than 24 hours of lemons.
Oh yeah, significantly cheaper, and it's more fun. I think the off-road part of it is a blast.
Oh, the off-road is totally fun. Don't get me wrong. The other one would be a kick.
It would be a lot of fun, but it's expensive.
Yeah, crazy.
One day when we get so big, King Ugly Crew will be at Le Mans. Lemons.
The lemons.
The lemons. So, guys, if you want to check out our Instagram, like I said, I'm going to be posting a bunch of pictures about all of this. Our Instagram handle is @KingUglyCrew. Also find us on Facebook at the same, or you can reach out to us at our Gmail if you guys have some questions or comments, or hey, if you're interested in The Gambler and want to know more, I have no problem reaching out to you and letting you know what's going on with it. Our email is kinguglycrew@gmail.com. And heck, if you want to see our ugly mugs, the King Ugly Crew ugly mugs, you can jump on our WordPress, and it's kinguglycrew.wordpress.com. Guys, join us. It was so much fun. It always is.
Yep. I think it would definitely be something to do if we got, not to name some names, but Mikey Roosh.
Mikey!
Maybe if we get Nick and a couple of his boys out there, that'd be fun, although they don't really work on cars. Mikey does still, though, right?
Yeah, Mikey loves working on when he can, but he's got his motorcycle and his minivan now. But he's still a gearhead at heart.
Yeah,
so,
it would be a kick if we got more people to come with.
I agree. I think it'd just be fun. So, guys, reach out to us. Let's do it. So yeah, I think this is it, guys. Anything else? Anyone else got anything?
Nope.
All right. Well, on that note, I guess it's time to say,
stay ugly.
Ugly.
I love you, Griffey.
Ugliness.